Hey guys, welcome back to Light League. This week we are having some fun with the Sirui Anamorphics 35mm and the 75 in particular. The 35 is right there on the Pocket 4K. 75 in my hand over here. We're going to talk about the image, the build quality, and use case, budget, and all that good stuff. Roll the tape. So I said we're going to talk about the build quality, but there's not much to say. Basically, this thing is made out of metal and glass. It's sturdy, it's heavy, and it is well built. Right, so the budget for this lens is about £400, which is about $600 now, which is a steal for this type of lens. This is an anamorphic lens. So what flavor do these lenses come in? So they come in the Micro Four Thirds mount, which is this one. This is a 75. That is a 35. My 35 came with an extra L mount adapter, but this can be used on the L mount as well. Micro Four Thirds with a tiny bit of DIY on the lens, on the metal body. I have done that. I am now able to use it on the L mount as well. But yes, L mount, Micro Four Thirds, RF, the Canon RF and Canon EF, M mounts, and the Fuji and Sony E mount. So mirrorless cameras, basically. This is a mirrorless camera setup, and those are the flavors of this particular set. So this set comes in a set of 4. So you've got the 24, the 35, which is on there, the 50, which I don't have, and the 75, which is in my hand. Why these lenses? Why did I get the Sirui 35 or Sirui Anamorphics? Because of anamorphics and how much they cost. So let's move on to point number 2, which is image quality. What can you expect from these lenses? From the sample images, the first thing that pops up is the night shots. The night shots in town on the Lumix S5IIx that I shot, they are quite a challenge to like, because you've got a blue streak across your screen on all images. If it was one, it's forgivable, but when you have multiple light sources, these things light up like a Christmas tree. There's blue everywhere, as you saw. The bus stop shot, exactly my point. There's 2 lights on the bus and there's lights everywhere. It was just blue across the screen. It was completely, in my opinion, it was completely unusable. So night shots, some scenes with these is going to be quite a challenge to shoot, especially if the light source is smallish but at a distance. It will flare up. It will bring up all these flares on there. I don't think, like I say, I don't think it's usable. So moving on, I think it just needs to be used carefully so they don't flare up, basically. Moving on, as you can expect, any anamorphic lens is going to give you that cinematic look because of the wide aspect ratio, because of the blurred edges. It makes your shoot a bit more film-like, I'm guessing. This is the word that I'm going to use, film-like, yes, because they do turn everything into a sort of a movie. It is more cinematic with these lenses. It's just the character of the anamorphics, so it will look like a movie. Number 2, what I noticed with these lenses, so in terms of image quality, what I've noticed is on the 35, there's a limit to where you can focus. So the limit of the focus is a bit odd, because I would say past 10 meters, it's very difficult, even at f1.8, it's very difficult to judge where your focus is. It just sort of washes out and you've got a blurry image after 10 meters, and it's not ideal to focus these lenses beyond that point. Otherwise, I don't have any more problems with the lens. I mean, anything as a tight shot on the 35 will work. I'm saying tight shot on a 35, yes, because I'm using those lenses on the Micro Four Thirds mount sensor. So when it was on my Lumix, I had to crop in anyway, so I'm getting a 1.6 crop factor, and on the Blackmagic it's even further cropped in because it's a 1.9 squeeze ratio on the sensor. So they are a bit more than 50. The 35 becomes a bit more than 50, so it is a tight lens. So as always, this will come down to price. I think what the price for the lenses plus what they offer, it's something that if you have never experienced anamorphic or you're trying to get into anamorphics, I think that this set is going to be something that will sort of expand your mind into the anamorphic world a bit more. Having used two adapters, one actually from Sirui, the 125 squeeze adapter that you screw onto the lens, and I had a pop it up on the thing. It was one of those old school projector lenses. Having one of those on, I don't have any sample images. It was just a chore to try and work it out, so I'm really sorry I can't really show you any images of that. I think I have one which I've tried taking a photo of or video of, but adapting the sort of chunky pieces of gear onto your existing lens and trying to focus on one and then trying to focus on the other one, don't go that way. I've done that. That's a bad way of trying to get into anamorphics. I know it's cheaper because you think, oh, I'm gonna get one little tiny adapter and I'm gonna adapt it to all my lenses. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I've tried it and it's quite difficult to focus because you have to focus your lens, your taking lens, your lens, and then the adapter on top of that. It's a chore. It's not something that's easily done, and it's best to just invest into one sort of lens, experience anamorphics, and say, yes, this is for me. No, this flares up like a I can't use it. But yeah, it's just up to you. But I think what you shouldn't do is you shouldn't get an adapter if you're trying to get into anamorphics. These lenses are a great segue into anamorphics, and I think you should first try out these lenses before you go into any other lens, more expensive lenses. Which one from the set to go with? I would think the 35 is the best one because it's not really that wide, but it's not really that tight as well. It's a good middle ground, a good test out middle ground. So the 35 on a 1.6 crop factor, that would be, I think, a good middle ground to start because that's like a 50, nifty 50. So I think that's where you should go. Obviously, the 35 does not have the same characteristics of the oval bokeh in the background because it is just the sort of the distance, the focus distance that you can focus is not enough. I used some diopters for getting the close-up shots in one of the scenes, and most scenes I just use a diopter just because I can get in a bit closer and get that anamorphic characteristic oval bokeh at the back. But yeah, the 75 is it will give you that, but it's just too tight. The 50 as well. The 24, I don't think we should be looking at the 24. It's just because that f-stop is 2.8. It's not enough to blur out that image to give you any sort of anamorphic look. I don't think that lens, I had that lens for a bit. I don't know why, I just didn't like it. Going back to the focusing, sort of focus where the focus is at, the 24 gave me quite a bit of a wider view. But again, the focus distance that I could get a clear, sharp image, but still get that characteristic was very narrow. It was somewhere between 3 and 4 meters away from the subject. Anything beyond that was just blurred out and it was very difficult to judge focus. So the 24 for me was not something that I could be friends with. So I went with the 35 instead. And I think if you are going to get any anamorphic out of this set, I think the 35 is a great starting point, and I think you should go with that one, with the 35. Yeah, so this is our part 2 of the video. See you next time. Thank you for watching this one, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. See you.